So to start, the reason why I created this free training is I know a lot of businesses right now, they're trying to figure out what to do with the COVID-19. Some businesses that only depended on foot traffic or being in a physical location, they're just, they don't, they're just stuck. They're kind of hit a brick wall. And I think this season is really about building relationships and, expanding and developing new relationships as well. And I think right now is actually a really good time to be figuring out email marketing or, social media marketing, whatever that may be. Anything online right now is a great time because we're all at home. So a little bit about my company, Entreprov is we're a digital marketing firm. We started back in 2017, and what we really are obsessed with is helping companies craft the right message to the right person at the right time. And we have our own framework around that. We call it personal touch engagement. All about building relationships. So me, a little bit about my background. I grew up in Detroit, Michigan. I lived there until I was 18, and then I jumped off and went to college because I was trying to find greener pastures. A fun fact about me, I've always been an entrepreneur. I know a lot of people these days are excited about being an entrepreneur. It's kind of a popular thing, but for me, it's always been something that I've been really connected with, creating, building my own things. And my joke right here is, but this is true, is I started my first business at 10. I had a landscaping business that all started with my uncle first asking me to do the chores to cut the front and the back lawn. And then that turned into me thinking it was a good idea to go knock on the neighbor's door and ask them how much they wanted to cut their front and back lawn. And that evolved from cutting grass to raking leaves to shoveling snow, because in Michigan, we got every season you can think of, sometimes all in one day. So, which can be a little crazy. I'm glad to be, out on the West Coast. Traveling, I love traveling. Being able to see different parts of the world, I think contributes to my perspective and just understanding things about business. Um, I think you're down in like California, right?
Yeah, I'm in LA.
Okay, in LA. Yeah, so I'm up in Seattle, so I'm a little bit up above you in terms of like the distance. And I moved out here in 2013, and then in 2013 I started working for a handful of startup companies out here just to figure out how things worked, figure out what was the right things to do, what was the wrong things to do. And in 2017, I just thought it made sense to just, the bug was getting me again. It was like I need to start my own thing. So
Hmm.
decided to jump out and start this business, Entrepreneur. Here's my team. We're small. This is just the marketing part of our team, but we get a lot of stuff done. We're really efficient with the things we're able to pull together. Our team extends beyond this, but this is the people that handle all the marketing, all the content, any stuff that we do with clients. They handle, or we handle all that stuff. Now, today, my goal is, by the end of this, I want you to feel comfortable, or at least start to think through and have a framework for crafting powerful emails that get people to take action. And in your case, you want people to take action in terms of like maybe buying an item, maybe replying to your email to ask questions about an item, or maybe schedule an appointment to come see some of your artwork. Those are the type of things that in your business you want people. Those are the type of actions that would be beneficial to you.
Hmm.
Um, so a lot of people actually don't know this, but with all the social media and stuff that we have going on, email is still one of the most powerful marketing channels out. And it's insane that they still generate $40 of revenue for every dollar spent in email marketing. So you think about those numbers, depending on what you invest, making almost $40 back for every dollar you spend is a lot. And part of the reason why it's just still powerful is um, it consistently gets the job done, and it doesn't evolve, and there's no rules to change over time. When you think about Instagram and Facebook, you definitely, in this day and age, you want to leverage those, But the part that you have to think through is you think about renting a house versus owning a house. With emails, you own your list. You kind of make the rules. You obviously have to stay within certain guidelines. You can't spam people, but you make the rules for the most part. With social media, you don't make the rules. It's kind of like you renting the space, and if they decide to change the rules, then you got to figure out the algorithm again. So but anyhow, email is still king. It's still one of the most powerful channels. So the this is a question that you probably could take a moment or two to think of or think about is why do most businesses really struggle or they fail with email marketing? Um,
I don't know. They're not captivating, or they don't get people to take action, or they're not worded correctly, or they don't know what they want, so they don't have a focus for their emails. Maybe.
yeah, actually, I think all that is very true. I summed it up into a simple way to consolidate it. Everything you said is exactly is part of the reason why people don't do well with email marketing. The way I summed it up to is they lack a framework that would help you be able to consistently engage with your customers. So some kind of system that helps you do things in the same way, the same time over, and keep yourself at a certain level in terms of standards. And that's what I want to go through today. The framework that we have been working on for the past couple of years, just through experience with our clients. And I noticed some trends in terms of what works well and what doesn't. So we wanted to create a framework around it, the personal touch engagement. And this just breaks down 6 general steps for how to really craft powerful emails. So whenever you're like, and I'm gonna keep trying to tailor this to your world, because it's a one-on-one. But whenever you're, thinking about crafting or putting together an email campaign where it's going to be like 4 or 5 emails, or if it's some one-off email to a large group of people in your audience, you want to take just a moment, maybe a minute or two, and think about the purpose of this email. Now, there's different purposes of an email. Some could be to educate. Maybe maybe you may have a segment of your business that you're thinking about that you probably want to educate people on different types of materials to use for certain types of art that make it last longer. Or maybe you're sharing a story about a cool painting that you created. But whenever you're crafting your emails, the first thing you want to at least have a moment to think about is what's the purpose of this email, and another thing that you want to think about is after, with the purpose, after them reading that email, they should think or do what? What should they think or what should they do after reading the email? So this brings me to the second point is you want to be really clear on what you want you want to know your target audience. Like, what's the biggest reason your customers choose your service or your product over somebody else? I'm not an expert in art, but I know there's different types of art. Uh, or there's, and way better than I do. But being able to know those small details in terms of why a customer chooses your pieces over, a competitor, or why, what about the personality or the common interests your customers typically have, being able to know that stuff is helpful because building the email campaigns, it's all about building a relationship. You want to be able to figure out over time, what things do your prospects want to know when they're looking for, your type of art. Is there a certain time of year that people typically search for art versus another? Do people, when they're looking for art, mainly operate out of referral? Where are some of the places that they hang out? Is there certain bars? You want to get nitty gritty with all this stuff because all this helps you do a better job of connecting with your audience through email. Um, and the better you know these things, the more effective you'll be with your email campaigns. one of the things we do, we offer a bundle that really breaks down exactly how you kind of figure out these things over time, because it's not a straight shot. There's a lot of homework involved depending on where you're at and how well you know your customer. Um, let's see. Any questions so far?
No, I'm good so far.
Okay, cool. So another thing that you can do, in terms of learning more about your customers is surveys. Whether it's one question or two questions. I think with YouTube, they do have some ability to be able to allow people to vote and kind of get more information, or just leave comments, and that could be your online survey, where at the end of your video you get comments and you kind of go through those comments and see if there's there's a typical thing that people normally say. Your goal is, at the end of the day, you want to look for patterns and things that you can be able to pull together and use for future campaigns that you send out. Now, emotional response goal. The way I look at this is, I want my reader to feel what, or when they either read my email, or if you have a video in that email, I want them to feel excited. Do I want them to feel happy? Do I want them to have a moment where they feel a sense of urgency because there's only one particular art piece like this left? And the way they feel will, our emotions will motivate us to take action. They do all the time. Like right now with the COVID-19, if we all got an email and it said there was a possible cure in sight within the next 3 weeks, a lot of people will open that email just to read it and click on the links in there to see if what they're saying is true. But my point is, your emails should have an emotional response goal where you're going to, get somebody to lead to taking a specific action. Now this one's kind of funny. I found this was online, but I get a ton of emails like this all the time, where somebody shoots you an email and what it says in the subject line is pretty different from what it actually is in the body. So making sure that your subject line is consistent with the message in the body is really important. And the reason why it's important is because when you irritate people, and you probably have experienced this, when you irritate people and make people upset with email, they can click one button and all of a sudden now you're considered a spammer. And the problem with getting spam complaints over time, it lowers your ability to actually reach your customer's inbox. So all that means is, the more people that click spam when they receive your emails, the more your emails will eventually only go to the spam folder instead of going to the regular inbox. So it makes sense to really try to keep your subject line consistent and genuine and really connected to what you're actually going to talk to them about in the email. Um, which this brings me to, the step 5 is testing your subject line. You should really try to test everything about your email if you can. But for this training, I really just want to focus on the subject line, because nobody gets a chance to read the body of your email unless they have read the subject line first. I don't know if you ever heard of the term, or the kind of the story of, nobody hears a tree fall in the forest if there's nobody around. And I think it's kind of the same thing with the email. You can have the best message within your email in the world, but if your subject line doesn't capture their attention, it doesn't count. Uh, but the moral of the story is you want to try to find ways to test your subject line, because that's what gets people's attention. And I have some examples, not some examples, but some tools that I'll share with you that shows you how to easily test your subject line. So this was a fun one right here, and I'll get some participation from you on this. between subject line A and B, which one do you think would get the most open rates?
I'll be A.
Probably A. Any particular reason why?
Because they're kind of engaging you to see how you can save rather than just saving 15%.
Yep. Yeah. So you're spot on with that. The one of the big differences in this email is it engages you and it uses high emotion words. I'll share a list of high emotion words with you once this call is over. But basically, there's somebody coming in. I'll just submit them. Hello. All right. We'll just keep going. So um, with the subject line, with high emotion words, they have a huge impact on how people respond. So there's a couple high emotion words that was in that subject line. You as being one of them. Anytime we read something and it says you, it allows us to be able to put ourselves in the situation and think through how we feel about this experience. But the moral of the story is, we want to, we want to focus on words that generate emotion. So here's a short list of those words that produce emotion, and they bring out power. And when you receive them, when you're on the receiving end, like I was saying before, I'm going to share a list of 180, 100 plus emotion and power words with you that you can use within not just your headlines and your subject lines, but also in the body of your email as well. So all right, that's the 6-step framework. So just to recap, number one is figuring out the purpose of the email. You want to be really clear of what do you want the person to think or do by the end of them reading your email. It leads to something. It motivates them to do something. And then number two is it's just knowing your target audience, being obsessed with the details of why they choose to either read your emails, buy your product, also what are some of the hesitations they have when they're choosing to read your blog or buy a product from you. All those things you want to know as much as you can about your customer. I like to always say you should strive to knowing your customer to the point where you can finish their sentences. Now that's hard to do, but if you're focused on learning about your customer and building that relationship, you know, even if you can't achieve that, going in that direction is going to help. And your customer or your potential customer is going to sense that you're taking the time to show that you care and you're actually interested in them and building that relationship. And then number three, emotional response goal. By the always think about by the end of them reading this, they should feel like, I should feel this way by the end of me reading blank. You want to uh, give them a certain type of feeling, whether it's a sense of urgency or excitement or even sadness. If that's something that there's a certain situation that you're trying to share with them. But the goal is, when you think about emotional response goal, is by them reading your information, they should feel what. And then number four, align your message with the subject line. Just making sure that what you talk about in your subject line, you're going to actually talk about in your email. Not doing that's an easy way to get on the spam list, and you don't want to be there. And then testing your subject line, um, which I'll share some tools with you. But anytime you're putting together campaigns for a mass amount of people or a huge number of people, it's worth taking a few minutes to write down a couple versions of your subject line and use some tools to test them. And then number six is just using words that produce emotion. They bring out power. To really connect with your audience and um, you know drive them to taking a certain action. So, like I said earlier, a couple things that you guys are going to get, I'm going to share with you for free, is the 100 plus power word download, the 6 step framework that we covered, and then a list of subject line testing tools that you can use so you can test for your own subject. So I know it looks like Caitlin, we were able to, you were able to log in. I want to take this moment to open up and just see what questions you guys may have.
Uh, um, like what kind of I know you were gonna get like a list of power words and stuff. I use this website called it's like the headline analyzer tool, and you can punch in a bunch of words, and it gives you like a score from 0 to 100, and it tells you like it's a pretty cool tool. It tells you how like how many power words you're using, how many emotional words, common, uncommon words, and it gives you kind of like a roundabout score of how well it is, how many words you use, how many characters, what kind of like sentiment it brings. So I've been using that for like even my YouTube titles
Mm,
to get people to click on my videos. I've been trying to focus more on like catchy titles and clickbait kind of stuff,
mm-hmm.
get people to click on it, and that's like kind of the same with email subject lines. So they kind of have that similar kind of thing where you know the first job is to get them to open it, and then if you have all this great stuff in there but no one wants to open it, like that's job number one.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good. I think if you have a few tools that you're using, I'm pretty sure you probably heard of CoSchedule. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I use. Yeah.
that's what it sounded like you were using. CoSchedule is a really great tool for testing out your subject line and headline, and also if you want to do some social media stuff as well. I like their tool. It's really powerful. It's one of the ones that I suggest. The information I'll share with you guys. I have 3 different options for you, but I think CoSchedule is one of the best ones.
Yeah.
Awesome. Caitlin, I know you may have missed some of the workshop. Is there any questions or anything that you were hoping to be able to gain by jumping on today?
Yeah, thank you. I think for me, I would just kind of try to see what other nuggets, what kind of tips and tricks I can pick up from you. I do work, with a publicist. So I just want to understand this process a little more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I think with you working with the publicist, a lot of the information you guys got to put out there is short and succinct, and you got to capture people's attention right away.
Yep.
And I think with email marketing, it's a lot of similarities because you only have so many characters in that subject line to capture people's attention, and then once they get into the email, keeping the message short, ideally under 150 words. I mean, there's some people that go even beyond that, but keeping it short and simple. It's almost like the subject line is a hook. What depending on what you're promoting or sharing, something that really just grabs people's attention, which in your field, I'm pretty sure you guys are pretty proficient at that. And then once they open that email, it's sharing a little bit more information to capture their attention, and there's always a call to action, even whether it's getting them to download, read more, or if they buy this or reserve or reply. You're always thinking in terms of the emails is not as long as a blog. It's still short and straight to the point, but it's trying to lead them to somewhere else to build that relationship um, further with the customer or a potential customer in some cases. Yeah, awesome. Any particular things that you are trying to figure out right now that you're looking to be able to get help with, or
Um, I'm trying to figure out like the just setting a schedule for myself with emails because I have like 712 subscribers to my newsletter, but I don't send out any emails because I either don't I can't fit in any time for it, or I don't have like a schedule or like a routine for my emails yet. And I just sent out my first one yesterday because I dropped like a t-shirt collection.
Oh, congrats.
Thanks. And so I'm trying to like build up some sort of time frame and schedule in my routine to continue doing the emails so I can build up that extra platform for myself because I have a big YouTube audience and a big Instagram audience, and
Mm-hmm.
just trying to work up my Twitter right now, and Facebook's kind of on the way out anyways, but I want to figure out the email thing because email is like, it has like that business connotation to it that people relate it to business, and I want to have my email audience built up so I can continue that kind of working business relationship and have it like my social media is kind of just stick to like portfolio social media kind of stuff, and then the emails I can work harder at like selling so that way I can compartmentalize the all these different platforms. And just
Yeah.
I'd love to figure out a way to put emails on my schedule so I can have like a set schedule for my emails so I stop forgetting about it or they seem too random.
Yep.
Maybe I'll do like two emails that are like non-selling, maybe just like two update emails or like tidbits that I've learned, and then the third email I can do like a sale. So I'm just trying to figure out that, and I'd love some advice about maybe the best way to structure your emails so they don't come off as like buy this, buy this, buy this every time.
Yep. Okay. Well, yeah, I got a few nuggets for you. Also, one thing that we just put together. So a little bit more about us. So we work with like clients, big clients and small clients, but we just released what I call our PT bundle, and it's a framework that helps you build the foundational pieces of how to determine how often you should be sending out emails. Um, but I'm going to share some nuggets with you because I think for you, one of the most important things you can do right now is take a moment first and start listing out all the ways that your customers start their relationship with you. And if it's YouTube, then then that'll make YouTube and Instagram, then that'll make it easy. But list those out first, and then start thinking about what happens next. All right, they subscribe to YouTube, and then from at some point I get their email. What happens next? You should plan. I think with email marketing and when you're building relationship, you can apply the social media rule where 80% of the time you are um, sharing, whether it's fun information, informational or educational information, and then 20% of the time you're promoting your product. So it's almost like Gary Vee always says the jab, 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 hook type thing.
Yeah.
It's very similar to that with email marketing. But I think the first thing and we talk about this in the bundle, is you want to just do like a customer mapping exercise and map out at least what step by step, how you're currently interacting with customers, and then you go back to that and you start figuring out how could you improve that process. And I think for you, the first thing I hear is you just need to plan out more engagement with them. So if you're sending out one email a month, maybe 4 or 5 emails a month may make the most sense. And then you sit down on a weekend and then you plan out all the emails, that at least the framework for all the emails for the next month, and that may just be 5 emails. And I would say that's the starting point. The other thing is you probably want to look into a CRM, a system like whether you Mailchimp's cool, but Active Campaign is a little more. It'll help you out a little more in terms of the automation. HubSpot, but you want to have a tool to help you once you come up with these emails. You plan things out, you can set it, and then let it run. And then you just can come back and look at the data. So that way you don't have to remember, um, when, oh, dang it, tomorrow I got to send this email out. It's already scheduled. Or people get emails every X amount of days. I think that's the next layer for you. It'll help you um, really be efficient and effective. So you can spend a weekend, plan that stuff out. The bundle that we have put together can walk you through all that. Plan out the framework, and then start writing the emails, and then figure out a CRM that you want to work with, and then set them up and let it run. And then you can automate a lot of that. One of the things that we did with Nancy when I first started working with her, a lot of her emails with her customers, she was manually one-off email. Like they come in for a tour, and she's like, "Oh, let me follow up with this person. Let me follow up with that person." And then, oh, this person's at that stage. They had a tour, and it could get crazy. And I was like, "No, Nancy, we have to change this right now because this is burning your time away just by the way you're doing it." And a lot of the emails that you're sending out aren't emails that need to be highly personalized in terms of like there's certain things that you can say to everybody along the process, and we need to think through that, plan that out, write it out. Now the cool thing, as things open back up, hopefully sooner than later with the COVID, she doesn't have to struggle with making sure like, oh crap, I forgot to email John this morning and he came in for a tour. She don't have to deal with that anymore because a lot of it's automated. So and planned out. Yeah.
Yeah, I am using MailChimp right now. There's another one called like ConvertKit.
ConvertKit, yeah. ConvertKit's good. MailChimp's good. The more advanced version allows you to do some automation. When this call is over, I will share a list of the CRMs that I think are really robust, and you can take some time and kind of look at them because I like Mailchimp, but Mailchimp, in terms of like when you get to the advanced level, where I'm not sure of in terms of how your customers will be segmented down the road, but I'm assuming because you sell art and then you also sell a little bit of clothing, there's some segmentation where certain customers don't relate to certain products you have. The segmentation down the road will be important, and to be able to automate some of that stuff will just relieve you from a headache.
Cool.
Yep. And then what I'll do right now for the PT bundle, we're selling that is one-time fee is $49. That's going to include the customer journey mapping, which one of the things is crazy. Last year we helped the company discover like 300 potential customers that just slipped through the cracks because again they weren't planning things out the way they should have. So these customers or these potential customers were just hanging around, but nobody had followed up with them. They were forgetting, they weren't timing. But the customer journey mapping helps you figure out that so you're not dropping people between the cracks. Also, a 1 year worth of strategic email topics and subjects are going to be included in there. So for like yours, if you're trying to figure out relevant things to send out to them, we put together a year worth of strategic topics that will be helpful for you. And then one of the things that we're going to be doing is a free, we already kind of did a session, but a free 20-minute session to basically have you ask any questions that you have about the email stuff. So I'm pretty sure that probably will be around how do you figure out these CRMs.
Yeah. Cool.
Awesome. Well, any other questions that you have?
I think I'm good.
Cool. Well, I'm excited. What's your channel? I want to check out your artwork.
It's called Kiptoe. So KIPTOE.
TOE, YouTube. Let me see. Oh wow. Okay. Cool. I'm gonna check out some of these videos. Oh, and street art. I like it. Well, it was a pleasure meeting you. It was great meeting you. Great learning about your business. I'm definitely gonna be checking out your videos. Didn't mean to do that right then and there, but that happened. I'm gonna check out these videos, and I'll send that bundle over to you. And you can go ahead and, if it's something you want to do, you get started, and then we'll schedule a 20-minute call to just kind of walk through what you should do and how to attack things, especially with the Mailchimp and stuff.
Cool, man. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you have an awesome day. It was nice meeting you.
Take care, man.
Yep.